I spent over $3 million building my agency. Consultants, specialists, generalists, people who charge $6,000 a day just to sit in a room and give me their opinions. And half the time, they were wrong. We hired research firms, strategy firms, people with fancy titles who'd hand us 50-page reports that took 6 weeks to produce and cost more than most people's cars. All so we could answer one question: what should we do next? That was the game. You either had money to buy certainty or you guessed. And guessing is why most agencies fail. But here's what's wild. The research that used to cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars, the strategic clarity that took weeks or months to produce, I can now get it in 5 minutes. Not a watered down version, not some chatbot summary. I'm talking about comprehensive, sourced, actionable research that tells you exactly what services to offer, how to price them, what objections you'll face, and where the market is heading. 5 minutes, multiple sources, zero gray area. And today, I'm showing you the exact process. Look, I'm not saying this to brag about spending $3 million. Honestly, a lot of that money was wasted. But it taught me something that most agency owners never learn: the difference between opinions and evidence. I'm Jeff Sauer. I came in as a partner at an agency and helped grow it 1,000% in 5 years. We made the Inc. 5000 list 5 times, and we sold it for 8 figures. The entire time, the hardest part was never the work. It was knowing what to do next with confidence. Should we add this service? Is this niche worth pursuing? How do we price this thing that we've never sold before? Those questions used to paralyze me because the answers were always opinions. My opinion, my partner's opinion, some consultant's opinion based on clients that weren't anything like mine. Now I have a process that removes those opinions entirely. It pulls from multiple AI research systems simultaneously. It cross-references sources. It gives me data, not feelings. And it's the same process I use today to pivot my business, launch new services, and advise the agencies in my community. Now, if you're tired of operating in the gray area, guessing at pricing, copying competitors, hoping your next offer lands, this is going to change everything. Let me show you how it works. Here's what I see constantly in our community. Someone asks, what should I charge for AI automation? And they get 47 different answers. Everyone's got an opinion. Charge hourly. No. Charge value-based. No. Productize it. No. Do retainers. None of it is backed by hard evidence. And this is how most freelancers operate when starting their agency. They're flying blind. They pick services based on what's trending on Twitter. They price based on what competitors seem to be charging. They position based on whatever sounds good in the moment. And then they wonder why clients push back, why deals fall through, why they feel like they're constantly scrambling to justify their value. The problem isn't that they're bad at sales or marketing. They never had a chance to find out because they don't have certainty. They can't point to data that says this is what the market wants. They can't reference research that shows this is the gap no one's filling. They don't have evidence for anything. They have OPO, other people's opinions. And OPO doesn't close deals. Now here's my controversial take on this, and I'll say it straight. If you're not doing deep research to back your business decisions, you don't have a real business. You have a hope. You have a gamble, but you don't have a foundation that lets you operate with confidence. The good news, building that foundation is now stupidly easy. So here's where we get tactical. The first thing you need to understand is that no single AI gives you the full picture. They all have different training data, different sources, different strengths. Gemini pulls heavily from Google's web index, websites, articles, YouTube videos, stuff that Google can crawl. Perplexity sources from places like Reddit and social media. Real conversations, real people talking about real problems. Sometimes that's way more valuable than a polished article. ChatGPT has its own reasoning engine and tends to synthesize information differently than the other two. So what I do, and this is critical, is run the exact same prompt across all three. Same prompt, 3 different systems, 3 different reports. You're not looking for the reports to agree. You're looking for the complete picture. One might surface a stat that others missed. One might frame a market opportunity differently. One might give you case studies the others didn't find. When you combine all 3, you get something that no single $6,000 a day consultant could ever give you. And it takes about 5 minutes to kick off. By the way, if this is already making you think differently about how you research your business decisions, hit subscribe. I put up videos like this regularly, breaking down the exact process I use to build and advise agencies. All right, let's keep on going. Now here's where most people mess this up. They type something like research AI services for agencies and wonder why they get generic garbage back. The quality of your research is directly proportional to the quality of your prompt. My prompts are thousands of characters long, and I mean thousands. They're comprehensive because I need comprehensive answers. Let me walk you through the structure. First, I give it context about what I'm actually researching. In this case, I'm researching AI enablement services for agencies, freelancers, and consultants. I tell it my thesis going in. But here's the key. I'm not telling it what to conclude. I'm not saying prove that AI automation is valuable. That would just give me confirmation bias with extra steps. I'm saying go find the data on this topic and fill in the blanks I've outlined. Then break it into sections. Section 1, market opportunity. What's the size? What's the growth rate? What are the trends? Section 2, ROI. Why would somebody pay for this service? What outcomes can they expect? Section 3, the gap. What's broken right now? What needs aren't being met? And it keeps going. AI agents, sales systems, operation systems, marketing systems, custom GPT development, workflow automation, prompt engineering. I have sections for skills required, how to package it, how to price it, case studies, competitive landscape, client objections. I even have a section on future trajectory. Where is this heading in the next 12 to 24 months? And then, this is important, I specify the deliverables that I want. I don't just want a wall of text, I want structured outputs, tables, summaries, actionable recommendations. This mega prompt approach is why my research actually gives me answers I can use. It's not magic, it's specificity. Speaking of specificity, I've done this exact research process for 99 different services that agencies and freelancers can offer in 2026. Everything from AI-ready data cleaning to custom AI agent development to answer engine optimization. Each one scored on market demand, revenue potential, and growth trajectory. If you want the full list, comment services below, and I'll send you the PDF. It's the same research I use to advise agencies in our community. All right, back to the process. So now you've got 3 research reports, maybe 50 pages each, different sources, different framing. How do you actually use this? This is where NotebookLM becomes incredibly powerful. I take all 3 reports and drop them in a single NotebookLM notebook. And what it does is consolidate everything. It reads across all the sources, it identifies patterns, it surfaces the insights that matter. And then, this is where it gets fun, I can create outputs from that consolidated research. Want an infographic summarizing the key market data? Done. Want a table showing pricing benchmarks? Done. Want a slide deck you can use for a presentation? Done. I've created quizzes based on the research, like a readiness assessment somebody can take to see if they're ready to offer a new service. Mind maps, flashcards, audio overviews. NotebookLM takes this mountain of information and lets you visualize it in whatever format actually helps you use it. And here's the thing. When you visualize your path forward, you pull yourself towards it. It's not just about having the data, it's about seeing what you're building, seeing the opportunity, having something concrete to work towards instead of some vague idea floating in your head. That's the difference between people who execute and people who stay stuck. Quick question for you, and drop it in the comments. Have you ever made a major business decision that you later realized was based on nothing but gut feeling or somebody else's opinion? I'm genuinely curious, because I've done it more times than I want to admit. And it's usually the decisions that I was least certain about that cost me the most. Let me know in the comments. Now, static research is useful, but interactive research is a completely different level. And this is where custom gems come in. What I've built, and this is part of our agency blueprint program, is a gem that uses all this research as its knowledge base. So instead of me digging through 150 pages of research every time I have a question, I just ask the gem. And it doesn't just answer, it advises. Here's how it works. I tell it I need to find a new service because my current one is getting commoditized. Getting my butt kicked, basically. The gem comes back with 3 diagnostic questions. First, the endurance test. What could you do for 10 hours straight without getting tired? This surfaces what you're actually built for. Second, your pain point. What's your biggest struggle right now? This identifies what to move away from. Third, your identity. What do you want to be? A strategist, an architect, an operator? This shapes the recommendation. I answered those questions and it came back with a specific recommendation. Become an AI workforce architect. It told me how to position it, how to pitch it without doing a hard sell. And then, and this is the good part, it backed everything up with data from the research. Not opinions, data. When a client asks, why should I pay for this? I have sources. I have market stats. I have proof that this isn't just something I made up. And that's the difference between a real business and a hope. By the way, that AI Workforce Architect recommendation, that's one of the 99 services in the research I mentioned. This list includes services like fractional AI officer, AI sales development representatives, answer engine optimization, server-side tracking infrastructure, each one with market growth projections, target industries, and revenue potential scores. Some of these services are showing 500 to 1,000% projected growth over the next 2 years. A few are showing 5,000% or higher. Comment services, and I'll send you the complete PDF. It's the shortcut to figuring out what to offer next. So here's where I'm going to challenge you directly. If you're watching this and you're still making business decisions based on gut feelings and what you heard on a podcast, you need to stop. I'm not saying podcasts aren't valuable. I'm not saying experience doesn't matter. But we live in an era where research that used to cost millions of dollars is now available in minutes. There's no excuse anymore for operating in the gray area. The agencies that win in 2026 and beyond are going to be the ones who have certainty, who can back up their positioning with data, who know exactly why their pricing is what it is. The ones who keep on guessing, they'll get eaten alive by competitors who did the homework. Deep research is the gift that keeps on giving. You do it once, and you have a foundation. You update it quarterly, and you stay ahead of the market. You build gems on top of it, and you have advisors that never sleep. This is how you build a real business, not a hustle, not a gig, a business that can scale, that can pivot, that you can eventually sell like my business if that's what you want. And it all starts with one research report. Kick it off today. Don't wait. All right, let's land this. You now have my exact process for doing deep research that actually informs your business. Run that same mega prompt across Gemini, Perplexity, and ChatGPT. Consolidate in NotebookLM. Create visualizations that pull you forward. Build a custom gem that turns static research into an interactive advisor. This is what used to cost $3 million and years of expensive consultants. Now it costs you a few hours of focused work. If you want the full agency blueprint, including the custom gem I demoed, the 99 services breakdown, and the complete framework for repositioning your agency in 2026, check the link in the description. And if you haven't grabbed the 99 services PDF yet, comment services right now. I'll send it over. It's the fastest way to see what's actually growing and what's worth your attention. Go do the research, build the certainty, and stop guessing at your business. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.